All right, so we are back on the W.A.D.E concept presented by The Ring, and today I have one of the weirdest yet most awesome things, potentially, that I could talk about on this channel. We live in such an odd timeline in 2025, where on one hand, we are on the 4th of July watching Joey Chestnut stuff 70 and a half hot dogs down his gullet, whilst there is chaos all across the world, and politically here in America, it's turmoil. It feels like every day something that's either great for your side of the political aisle comes out, or terrible and you want to just pull your hair out in the same sentence, where foreign affairs are all over the place, and it seems like at any moment World War III could potentially happen. And yet today, or I guess yesterday, we got the announcement that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, would like to hold America's 250th birthday celebration next year, 2026, on the 4th of July. Because it will be the 250th anniversary of Independence Day here in America. He would like to hold a UFC event on the front lawn of the White House. And just as that was announced, two of the UFC's biggest names that have most recently either retired in the case of Jon Jones, literally 2 weeks ago, or been MIA, and I'm not talking about Miami, at least this time, for one, Conor McGregor piped up and said, yes, please, I would love to be a part of that, while Dana White seemingly confirmed that he wants to do it as well. This really may be happening, and it may have just brought Jon Jones back to the sport less than 2 weeks after he retired and brought Conor McGregor back to the octagon for the first time in 3 years. What do I mean? The breakdown, let's go. So yeah, I'm just going to start with the video that started this whole thing. Here's Donald Trump talking about celebrating the United States' 250th anniversary with a UFC event.
I even think we're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have, does anybody watch UFC, the great Dana White? We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this, on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little, we're not, Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. We're going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also.
Here's the thing. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. To me, this is pretty fucking awesome. Now, again, I'm not one to get super political here. And I saw people talking about, oh, this is political. And Dana White says he's not political. I don't even look at this as a political issue. I look at this as the president of the United States using a sport that he likes to showcase how great America is in 2025, well, 2026 when it'll happen, and politically motivated or not, is something I think goes well with the idea of what America is, a place that is, in one hand, so beautiful and unique, and in the other, completely chaotic and almost cartoon-like, in a way. And again, I love it. We can have a fight on the grounds of the White House in front of 25,000 people. This is awesome to me, and it seems like it's not just, cannon fodder here from Donald Trump, because Dana White is reposting it. Dana White reposting it on his Instagram. The UFC retweeting it on their Twitter. This doesn't seem like just a ha-ha, great, funny moment there, Trump. We're going to move on and act like you didn't say that. It seems like, oh, hey, well, maybe this could potentially be a real thing. And as soon as that became a real thing, and we're going to focus mainly on Jon Jones in this video, but it does need to be said that Conor McGregor has been the most vocal fighter about potentially being on this card. As he tweeted, happy 4th of July, USA, excited President Trump announcing a UFC fight event at the White House. I would love to be honored. Count me in. I would be honored. Excuse me. Count me in. And then there's a picture of him and Donald. And look at, he just looks like he is Dennis the Menace in real form, man. Conor just always looks like he's up to some weird sadistic shit. And then someone asked Grok, will Conor be at the White House? Conor's expressed strong interest in fighting at the White House. And then Conor quote tweets it with a direct message, two of which to Dana White, and then Dana responds, I love it. So again, you can see Conor. The only place where disputes truly get settled, the White House, where Conor is yet again goading Michael Chandler into a fight, and I feel like we should put the Titanic meme up, because it's been 40 years, it feels like, since Conor and Michael Chandler decided they were going to fight each other. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be AI Trump in the background, and both of them facing off on the grounds of the White House. Jesus. And then we have Conor tweeting once again, 4th of July next year is a Saturday regarding President Trump's UFC White House event. I will be reigning president of Ireland just under 1 year when I step out on the lawns of the White House to throw down. Epic proportions, or as I like to call it, Tuesday at the office, vote McGregor. I highly doubt that Conor McGregor is going to be the next president of Ireland, but I have no idea about politics over there, just as much as I don't really know about politics here. Regardless, Conor is fired up. I have not seen Conor this fired up about a fight since Dustin Poirier 2 and 3. Honestly, he wasn't even this fired up about fighting Michael Chandler while he was coaching against him on The Ultimate Fighter. Like, this has gotten Conor's attention, and you can see clearly when he's invested versus when he isn't. Now, would I like for Conor McGregor to main event a UFC White House event? Sure, why not? That's awesome. It would be historic for the UFC. It'd be awesome for the sport of MMA. Again, people are going to cry on Twitter about it being political. I don't really give a f. It's an awesome event in a wacky world that already is MMA. I mean, let's be honest, this sport is not some buttoned-up, bureaucratic, white-collar sport. And that was kind of the reason people didn't like boxing for the longest time, is because it felt too rigid, and the high-class kind of bourgeois nature of the sport turned people off. MMA's never done that. It's a fighter's fighter sport. It's a fan-favorite sport. It's a wacky world they live in. So I think this would be an awesome event, and Conor clearly is fired up. But the bigger story here is Jon Jones, because while we'll see Conor tweet about wanting to fight here and the pictures of Michael Chandler and all that, on the other side, we have Jon Jones, who piped up about this fight card and wanting to be a part of it, where he said, fighting at the White House with the eyeball emojis. And then he also tweeted this. This is from ESPN MMA. Jon Jones posted this on his social media less than 2 weeks after announcing his retirement from MMA. Jon said, just re-entered the testing pool. That lasted for about 2 weeks. Figured we'd keep everyone's options open. Now, again, it's one thing if you're Conor McGregor to tweet about wanting to fight at this, as of right now, potential UFC White House event, July 4th, 2026. But it's another thing if you're Jon Jones to enter the testing pool 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks after you've retired and given up your heavyweight championship belt to potentially fight at this event, or maybe before that. And I'm not saying that either guy is going to fight in this event or at all. This could just be, hey, I'm bored on social media on the 4th of July. In Jon's case, probably because no one wants to hang out with him, because when they get too drunk, he acts like a complete psycho and endangers people. And for Conor's case, they also, well, yeah, that's probably for both guys, to be honest. But if Jon really is re-entering the testing pool, this opens up the idea of potential super fights for Jon Jones. Because the one thing that I think everyone had asked about Jon Jones and from Jon Jones when he was stalling the heavyweight division and holding on to the belt was that Jon drop the belt if he wanted to do super fights and have Tom Aspinall become your undisputed heavyweight champion. And for the longest time, that's what drove people away from the Jon Jones show, at least one of the things, on top of the many other things we've talked about in Jon's past, his allegations, the things he actually did, the PEDs, all of it. Now you don't have that obstacle. And I wonder, and I want to ask you guys, would you be more interested in watching a Jon Jones fight now that he's not holding up the heavyweight division? Would you be more interested in a potential super fight for Jon Jones if he's not holding up the division? Could it be Tom Aspinall? Sure. Let's say Tom Aspinall goes and beats Ciryl Gane, who's most likely going to be next for him, and then Jon is there waiting for the actual undisputed champion in Tom Aspinall. Maybe that's the case. Or maybe Jon wants a super fight with an incoming heavyweight, Alex Pereira, Poatan. Not saying that's even plausible right now, because it seems like Pereira wants to have his rematch versus Magomed Ankalaev. The point is, if that fight is there a year from now in 2026, after Poatan does his business at light heavyweight, would you be interested in that fight? Because I certainly would. I think it's an interesting fight for Jon Jones, and one that if he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall, keeps him away from doing that, whilst also allowing us to keep the heavyweight division moving, and Poatan Jon is a one-off super fight. Let's say a year from now, Dana White finds a way to make peace with Francis Ngannou. I think he only has one fight left on his PFL deal, maybe two, I don't really know. Regardless, let's see if that potentially could happen, because Francis walking right back into the heavyweight division, sure, him versus Tom Aspinall would be massive as the fight that probably most people would want. Francis never lost his belt officially. Tom, if he's still the champion at that point, which I assume he will be, that would be a fight to make, but also potentially a super fight there for Jon Jones as well. What I'm trying to say is this opens up options for Jon Jones. If he's truly not having any interest in fighting Tom Aspinall, that would be disappointing, for sure. And honestly, the most interesting fight that you can make for Jon Jones right now is the one that's been avoided like the plague, but now does have a bit of a different dynamic. Should Tom Aspinall go and get 2 or 3 more wins at heavyweight the rest of this year and the first part of next year, all of a sudden Tom Aspinall becomes not only a viable heavyweight champion, but one that is kind of the big draw for Jon Jones. The one thing that Jon has said Tom isn't. He's here today, gone tomorrow. He's not a big draw. He's not going to be remembered. If Tom gets a couple of those wins, all of a sudden he has a lot of those attributes that Jon would be looking for in a heavyweight fight. The number goes up. It's at a historic event. Maybe that's the final straw that pulls Jon Jones into a Tom Aspinall fight. Regardless, I love that fight. I love that idea. And I think it's more, honestly, right now, more of a reality for Jon to fight than even Conor McGregor. As much as he's saying, I want to do it, Conor's talking about also running for office in Ireland. Do you really think, if he's truly honest and serious about that Conor McGregor can both balance being a UFC fighter and trying to run for political office in Ireland? The answer is no. Because right now, Conor McGregor can't even balance on his yacht while the waves come in, while also being a part owner of BKFC and then seriously trying to fight. None of these things are working as it is. If Conor's actually trying to run for political office, it's going to not work even more. Like, if this is the only thing driving Conor's passion for fighting, sure, okay, like, I'm down if you want to do that as the main event. But I'm throwing more cold water on that than I have to do after a dream I've had about the Pkwy concept. The point is, if I'm going to pick between Jon and Conor on this, I'll call it fictitious White House event that Donald Trump is potentially creating, I think Jon's more likely to fight. I'll be honest with you. He doesn't have the money Conor has, doesn't have the opportunities outside of fighting that Conor has, and quite frankly, Jon's a better fighter, even now, at his age, than Conor was. At a division that if he comes back, there's one real threat to him in Tom Aspinall. And if he's able to do that, Jon goes down. If he isn't already the greatest ever, he will go down as the greatest fighter to have ever lived. So as much as everybody is going to say, please, Jon, stay retired, stay retired, stay retired, I'm going to go the opposite way here and say, nah, I want to see it. I can't lie. I want to see it. I want to see this event. Give a shit how many people cry about it being political and all this other stuff. It's cool to me. It's a pretty sick way to celebrate America. And even if it is political, if you're telling me that that's what it takes is President Trump to say, hey, we're going to do an event on the grounds of the White House to get 2 of the biggest names in MMA to come back and actually fight, I'm sold. And as much as you guys are probably going to complain about me saying that, you will watch it too, and you're lying to yourself if you're going to sit there and say you won't. Bullshit. So before you get on your high horse and talk about how this isn't needed, or we don't want Jon, or we don't want Conor, or it's all political, and it's this and that, y'all are the same people that are complaining that the UFC is watered down, they don't do enough unique stuff, that they aren't trying to innovate, and that they've lost their fastball. You cannot sit there with a straight face and tell me that if the UFC puts on an event at the White House for $25,000 on the front lawn and get either Conor McGregor or Jon Jones, potentially in some wacky world, both of them on the card, lace it up with American fighters, championship bouts throughout, and put on one of the most unique cards that's ever been made, that you wouldn't watch, or that it wouldn't pump you up just a little bit, because that is something the sport is lacking. Not every event needing to be at the White House, but just something unique and fresh and a little wacky. Yeah, I'll say it. I think if the right fights can be made, Conor and Michael Chandler still is a fight that to me makes sense. Jon versus potentially really any super fight to me makes sense. Sure, okay, Tom Aspinall should be the one. But if it isn't that, we're talking about a year from now, maybe the UFC can find a way to get Francis Ngannou back in. Or let's see what happens with Poatan at light heavyweight. Either way, I think this is sick. And if this was the final straw to get Jon to come out of retirement or to rethink retirement and to get Conor McGregor some passion back into the sport, then you have the answer for what's lacking in MMA right now. From the fan perspective, from the company perspective, and from the fighter perspective. And no, to me at least, it's not the love for Donald Trump and the Trump glaze fest or whatever it is that you guys are going to complain about in the comments. It is something unique that fighters have never done, that they never have imagined, that makes them go, you know what? I don't want to miss being on that card. You know what? I don't want to miss being a part of history. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what will bring your big stars back, and hopefully in front of the eyes of the nation of the United States, obviously, and hopefully the rest of the world can create new stars for you. But again, everything's hypothetical. I don't know if this is even going to happen. I'm just giving you my thoughts on the news as it comes out. Is this Donald Trump UFC White House event plausible? Yeah, sure. Is it possible? Maybe. Will it happen? And is Jon Jones really unretired? Is he really coming back to the sport? And is Conor McGregor actually going to fight on this plausible, possible card whilst being the president of Ireland? I know it sounds wacky, and quite frankly, I'm not sure I believe any of it, but I don't have those answers. So 1 year from today, in the good old US of A, on the grounds of the White House, it's possible that we have an event like no other. What happens then? Who headlines? Who is on this card? I don't have those answers. So, guess we'll find out.